Hello, everybody. Welcome back to NLC Division 2. Viper and Jamada on your screens and in your ears as well, actually.
Unless they've got us muted. What if on people's screens?
They could also have us.
Exactly, Will. So,
Okay, I got there eventually.
You did.
We're going into our first game of the day. We've got Domino up against Verdant. Big match
both these teams.
for both of these teams. Must win
For Verdant.
for Verdant. Domino, very much desirable to win to keep themselves in a positive conversation, especially with Lightside having just picked up a win in their game.
And this is the thing, I think from here on out, we have teams in every game in that 5-5 mixer.
We do.
Yeah.
Because we've got Lucent coming up a little bit later. And I've forgotten the other team that's in that predicament. Rate. This is true.
There you go.
On
Reed
your
has
screen.
brought it up for you
Natives
because you
Rate
can't
up
remember.
against each other. Hard game for Rate. And then Flong Lucent. Hard game for Lucent. So, if Domino lose here, that's a big opportunity lost for them to create some space between themselves and rivals. Lightside notwithstanding, because they just picked up their win, an expected win against AAB. Into pick and ban for this game, and Fresh, Twisted Fate, Riven taken off the table. Of course, Rips Riven.
It's almost globally permaban.
It's certainly a fit.
It's pretty close. It's something I'd have to go and double check.
I think we've seen Rips Riven once.
Yes.
I don't think it won.
I don't know if you could bring out the stats maybe on your phone and double check. Or on your... well, you have control of another monitor. So
I do have control of another monitor.
So if you want to make use of it, I don't know if you'd like to. You don't want to.
It will be quite loud with the keyboard.
Lazy play-by-play. Anyway, moving on. I should just have these stats on.
Yeah, I was going to say, lazy analyst not doing his prep. Like, what?
Riven remains quite consistently bad against Rip.
Rip is a Riven player.
Yes,
also, probably should note, this is the other game with a player that doesn't necessarily always start, because I'm Keys will not be starting for Verdant in this one. It will be Hankat.
Yeah.
Coming in. Verdant also needing to make a couple of changes. We saw it from Lightside. We saw them win. We saw Domino lock in Gwen, who is, of course, when we were talking about Zeri versus Jinx in terms of power picks. Gwen also another champion that maybe needs to be in that conversation.
Yeah, I think right below it though, right below that tier, realistically.
If
in my eyes.
If you're a
Yes.
Sorry, I just completely blanked.
Moving on, Verdant lock in Hecarim for Hankat here, and I would expect Draconium gets the Jinx in this predicament.
Yeah, has to be, right?
It's just very predictable. And now, if Domino want to, I would expect the response to be Aphelios. And given the fact they have Gwen, they can actually hold it as a flex. So perhaps blinding the support is the route that they want to go for. Shaolin even maybe picking up an early champion that perhaps he wants, like the Rise, could also be another option. Something with a lot of CC in his kit.
Look at jungle. Potentially.
But I think when you've got the Gwen there, you just hold it.
Oh, this is true. I mean, the Gwen can still go top or mid.
Top or jungle?
It could go mid.
It can go mid, yes. But
we could also see something like the Lulu, as you said, with the support option.
Yeah, I think probably with Thresh off the table, that might be the safest thing for Denden to do. I think it's, realistically, it's a takeaway from Verdant, but maybe you just don't want to have to deal with the potential kill lane. And that's why we're seeing the Norless hover and most likely lock in Denden. Lent on this champion a lot throughout the split. And just in general, it has been Domino's style to draft a lot of CC, so it's why we've seen him on the likes of the Norless so frequently. Verdant, what will you do? Will you just go for the support here? You know the Jinx is going to get priority 1-1 into the Aphelios. Will you go for the range support matchup? We take the other end and just go something like
I was going to say
something like the Leona, which we haven't actually seen today. Something that is matched into Norless very frequently. Could have even gone for the Braum. It's something we've seen Winter do before, but instead,
flex pick City.
Yeah, Akali for this Verdant lineup. And now I wonder if we will get some bans, perhaps like the LeBlanc away from Shaolin. And whether or not actually this Akali is going to end up in the hands of Ericsson.
Because saw top lane yesterday in Div 1.
Yeah, and Valkyrie is also a very big Akali enjoyer.
Very true.
Let's see exactly what Verdant want to go for at the moment. Silas, pretty, standard ban, I think, if you're going to want to lane the Akali. It's traditionally been, at times it's been a Silas favored matchup. At others, it's been more of a skill matchup, and even maybe depending on the time period, you could even say Akali wins the matchup outright. For now, going to be off the table entirely, and Domino they do. They will remove away the Lulu. Was hypothesizing that as an R3,
Yeah.
so I think honestly it makes sense to now remove it away. And I expect probably a follow-up of either another utility support, perhaps something along the lines of a Zillion, because a lot of the damage at the moment, I'm not going to say entirely single targeted, but when you've got a Nautilus, there's normally going to be one person that's going to get that charged at best. And Verdant here looking at another mid lane ban towards Shaolin, of course. Maybe they're looking for more flexible bans that work in both lanes. Instead, they say, no, we still think that this Gwen is probably going to be going into a lane and we're going to take away the Jarvan. Now, Zillion, Leona, two bans that are probably most likely to come in here against winner. If you're looking directly at the 2v2, maybe you remove away the Braum if you're scared of that. But I think realistically, the meta is right now, you want priority out of the bottom lane. Yeah, you're likely going to remove away something that gives that. They actually go for it. So they're scared of that 2v2, but winner's still got so many options. I think realistically, it's a hard position to ban away from because they've got the Akali there. You ban away a top laner, it could be a wasted ban. You ban away a mid laner, it could be a wasted ban. You don't really know. So the fact that we see a support ban does make sense, but definitely a surprise that out of all of them, it's the Braum that we get to see. And then I expect Winter's pick to come in here. It's the safest one to go for. Leona will be the choice here, and I think it just makes the most sense. You've got the Hecarim there. You need another form of follow-up. You need another form of primary engage potentially, and Leona fits both of those categories. Now, Sheldon, Ripped, Sidon. Where will this Gwen go? Who's going to be handling what here?
It smells like a top lane Gwen.
Don't really know what you're picking into. I think at the moment the thing is Gwen works relatively well into Hecarim. So if they actually do want to lane, two other champions, they can. Will gets his wish in terms of Sejuani game.
Sidon's got my back always.
Yeah, and I mean it's something we've seen him play time and time again
We
because
have
CC is so high up on Domino's, sort of wish list for drafts, and I wonder if we will get more hard CC out of the remaining lane here, because right now Sejuani, Nautilus, a lot of CC, Gravitum, Olmert can come out from Chris as well. A lot of lockdown could come in. It's going to be another AD carry. The Akshar actually locked in here, and if you wind your mind all the way back, I believe it was to week 2, it was a very heavy, crowd control composition that allowed for Domino to take down Verdant in their matchup all the way back when we was expecting Verdant, maybe to be bouncing back from their 0-2 week. Instead, I think it ended up being their third loss of the split, and now final hover looks like to be Ahri lock-in will be going into the mid lane against what we expect to be Akshan mid, and the lanes will set themselves as definitely two very interesting drafts laid in front of us. Not really too sure how I feel about the execution here, because there's no real, necessary front to back. Yes, you have a Phelios and Jinx in the game, but are the comps really set up for that? I don't know. It feels more like dive on the side of Verdant when you've got the Arya, Kali, the Hecarim, the Leona, and the Jinx is gonna just maybe be on her lonesome with that. As time is ticking, Shaolin currently holding on to that Gwen.
I was right. You could argue with my methods. You could argue with the workings.
All right, how much did you pay Bloodsteel?
Me and Blood still go way back. To be fair,
Mm-hmm.
we've got everything. Well, it's like yesterday with Singularity decided to just listen to the Hapgoods and just draft their favorite.
So you've got your stake is in.
Yeah. Well, I cast more Div 2 than Div 1 at the moment.
Yeah.
So I figured,
Oh my
why
God,
would
so-
I invest? Domino already. This is an apology for winning when I wasn't here, because they ruined my meme.
Right.
So they were like, Viper Room, we are sorry. What can we do to repay you? And I was like, A, Sejuani, obviously, Sidon, get it sorted. B, I'll make some wacky calls during Champ Select, just see it done. So they've been tapped in, they've been listening hard. And now we've got a Gwen mid and an Akshan top, the Akshan into Akali, the Gwen into Ahri. But I do think that those two lane assignments are better for Domino than the reverse. They're not necessarily favored, but I think sending the Akshan into the Ahri would have been pretty rough for the Akshan.
It's tough to call. I definitely will say one thing. I know that Gwen doesn't particularly enjoy the Akali matchup. There's nothing that she can really, trout realistically. So I think this is more for the top side. They're saying, all right, Ripped, get your favored matchup in, unless...
Shaolin's gone Ghost. Are they lane swapping the
player
players?
swapping. Yeah, it looks like they're player swapping. Okay. Definitely a very interesting look then. So It's not something we get to see too often. If this is going to be the case, Ripped is going to show in the mid lane. So Verdant are now going to know this is going on. And Shaolin will be laning top, it seems like. I'm not sure whether Ericsson has actually spotted out the fact that Ripped will be in the mid lane just yet. Granted, Ripped is standing relatively far back, as you can see, just dancing on the line. So let's see exactly how this one goes. Are they pranking us? Well, did they show
Like,
each other?
what
Are they
are
expecting
they?
I think what they might be expecting here, all right, it's one of two things.
Okay.
It's they did show Akshan mid, and they're trying to bait Ericsson to path top and actually start top,
Mm.
or Vision was never seen by Ericsson, and Shaolin is just laning this mid anyway, and they just wanted to prank us on the cast. As there you go,
Are they
Shaolin.
actually just pranking us?
I don't know.
Only Domino.
Only Domino.
Only Bloodsteel and their merry band
But
would make us
it's-
question whether we were being trolled on broadcast.
Yeah, you're right. But it does set up for an interesting precedent because now you would imagine Shaolin isn't going to really have too much mid lane priority
Mm.
into the likes of, well, it's just a range versus melee matchup in general. Ericsson should have full autonomy in the mid lane, and Ripped up in the top side will have priority. So it's going to be about, top versus mid in that priority war. On the bottom side, you expect Draconium and Winter to win out because Draconium, on a whim, can expend that mana, get the splash AoE damage down with the rockets, and push in the lane. It's something that Chris doesn't have in his arsenal of weapons. In the first couple of waves, of course, Calorum, Severum are the guns that you start off with. There you go. So I expect Ericsson to try and gather as much information as possible and as consistently as possible. And the first bit of information he will gather is that the Raptors are down. So it does mean in most cases, given the timer, that Sidon is likely on the top side of the map.
Mm. Which they are.
Yeah.
Hanging around top side, just clearing that one out. Sejuani is clear. Actually reasonably good and reasonably safe and reasonably healthy.
Yeah.
When you think about tank junglers, not necessarily in vogue at the moment. Looking at more of that engaged power Shaolin in the mid lane. Be a little careful, was thinking about putting some intimidation tactics down, but Ericsson able to move away. As we're seeing Shaolin, Sidon even, and Ripped potentially looking to see this. We've seen Akshan's getting priority and then bundling down to make plays before. Not this time in terms of success rate. But talk to me very quickly about summoners before anything really kicks off, because Shaolin's gone for Teleport Ghost.
Yeah, I mean, standard in the top lane these days, even ahead of, when Gwen sort of finally came into meta originally. We did see a lot of, Flash TP in, standard, but then eventually it shifted off the Flash into Ignite TP, into Exhaust for quite some time, regardless of matchup, which was definitely quite curious. Even in lanes where you'd imagine she would have kill pressure, and then now it is pretty unanimously the Ghost. And yeah, with the Ghost, especially if you get the resets of the summon spell going, it gives you so much extra mobility. It gives you the ability to run down people so much easier than if you did not run the summoner spell. In those team fights in particular is where it really matters the most in the mid game. So nothing too, weird to talk about here. I think Ripped not having teleport on the Akshan as well, relatively standard in this lane, as Punkart doing the correct thing here in this top side, just shadowing for Valkyrie as Valkyrie attempts to shove in this wave. Should be able to do so with relatively ease and hopefully get a recall off.
Should also be noted, Punkart, not the first game on Verdant this season. Played one in the jungle when it was I Am Keys top. We had Valkyrie out for that one. Valkyrie's back. I Am Keys is not. In the mid lane, Den moving forward, trying to catch out Ericsson. Flash has to be expended by the Ahri because there's no ultimate just yet. Goes low, doesn't go down, will burn for a second longer. But Hecarim rode on through just to make sure that the dive wouldn't have been successful. Sidon also in the neighborhood, unable to convert. So, this Ahri has a very small window where they're very gankable, but as soon as they land 6, it's become a bit trickier again.
Yeah, and 5:15, one reset's coming. I think on the wave that's coming right now out of base, that will be the level 6 wave, if I had to wager a guess. And it just seems like it's not going to be punished. The window's a little bit too small. And actually, Gwen is immune, so unfortunately Winter's pretty strong pick isn't going to turn into anything. Ericsson will ding over to 6 and regain some of that safety net that, of course, the Spirit Rush does have. And Verdant, with this little window, they feel like with that mid lane priority gained and the bottom side being an isolated 1v1 right now, believe that they can start up this dragon, and they will do that. And it should be confirmed as Sidon went for a reset. Domino either know this is going on and are yielding it and happy to give this one over, or it's a very clean take from Verdant. Domino caught unawares. Dragon picked up.
Yeah, nice pick from Verdant. I don't think Domino will be too upset losing that one. You can see Sidon moving on to the top side of the map, just grabbing some more farm, and has fallen a little bit by the wayside in terms of CS so far, so needs to be getting back on track. Of course, with tanks, it's a little bit less vital that you have all of that gold because your items tend to be a little bit less expensive than damage dealers. Of course, Hecarim, not an assassin by any means. Well, sometimes an assassin.
I feel like AD carries might want to have a word of you.
Yeah, I know. I
on
just
that
don't listen.
call.
Honestly, I just don't listen to their complaining at this point. But
It's reasonable.
it's understandable. But for Hecarim, wants to be getting a little bit more items, are probably a little bit more expensive than what the Sejuani wants to be grabbing. It's level 6 where things start to get pretty gross, because when you've got Sejuani ultimate and Nautilus ultimate, who can go near Domino at that point?
Definitely not Draconium. Even some of the more mobile members like
gonna say, 'cause
Valkyrie would have to be a little bit careful about that lockdown.
A lot of their survivability is based on the fact that they're not getting hit by people. Right?
Sure.
But Nautilus ultimate's point and click, so there's no dodging that one. And Sejuani ultimate is so huge that I can hit it. Therefore,
Nice.
Domino should be having a reasonably good times in these next couple of fights. In fact, all fights moving forward with what they've built. However, this is just a case of how they go into these team fights. And Hunkart, they're going to try and pick up first blood, won't be able to get on Shaolin, who'd already given a lot of respect by moving back towards their tower. And for Verdant, again, cannot really downplay the importance of this matchup for them. Need to be winning to put themselves back into the conversation for playoffs. Winning this one means they'll only be one behind Domino. Of course, a couple of other teams later to play. And they would also pull themselves away from London United, who also lost earlier today.
Yep. And I think a lot more importance has to be placed on this game for Verdant because they've already lost the Domino. So if they lose this is another team at 5-5 who they just won't have the head-to-head against. And if they do eventually catch up, assuming that they were to lose this game here, if Domino were to lose, you know, enough games to be tied come the end of the season, this is just a team that they don't win the head-to-head against, and it would have to be one of those very quirky three-way tie situations.
Oh, I love a good three-way tie. Ripped isn't liking what's going on here, though. Sidon moving on in. Of course, Sidon not going to have the greatest time ganking into this top lane, because Akshan, notably, is not going to be proccing the stun. So Sidon has to be holding onto the Akali and doing a lot more to actually get that lockdown without expending the ultimate, which, of course, if you can gank without, you want to be ganking up to hold on to the resource. But Ripped, we've seen Akshan's doing things in the top lane so far. His split in Division 2 especially. This one, Ripped hasn't really been able to get things going into the Akali just yet.
No, and actually, Valkyrie might as well be dead even CS. As well as reset comes in for Verdant. Looks like they're going to be rotating to the top side of the map. They want to play for Herald. And with that one Valkyrie teleport, still a good couple of minutes away, but I feel confident the fact that Ripped doesn't have teleport will be going to match the bottom lane. And I'm not sure if you noticed what our producer was highlighting, Will. It's the fact that Shaolin on this Gwen, of course, has the Cafe Cutie skin. And I think we're just getting a highlight of some of the skins in this game in general. There's quite a few of them. Nightbringer Aphelios. And I believe it was Firecracker Jinx, but just with a Chroma as
but it's a dive
Valkyrie.
in the bot side. Valkyrie might have a skin on Prestige Edition, but whether it's going to be enough to keep him alive. Dendon has to flash away from the tower shot. Will stay alive on a sliver of health, and it'll be Chris securing first blood. It wasn't pretty, but like a lot of plays Domino make, it got the job done.
Yeah, exactly. Domino, they get the job done, and that's the important thing. Any later, and Valkyrie gets so much harder to deal with underneath that tower because his ultimate perfect execution was about to come up, so much mobility, and the ability to execute, hence the name. Very key there, but Verdant, what is the opportunity cost for Domino for this play? Yes, they get Chris all of these tower plates. The issue is it's going to be traded on the top side with this Rift Herald, but the fact that Chris gets it without the need for a Herald and with the additional kill on top of that, Domino probably walking away from this one not too fast. Actually, if we can take a look at the gold, how does the gold sit between these two AD carries? Because, yeah,
Good for Chris.
actually still up.
It was first blood as well. That
Yeah.
must be noted because that's going to give the extra gold. So yes, good response from Verdant. Best response they could probably make in that situation. However, Domino still come away with the positive, and that's basically the gold lead that they currently hold. Yes, it's only 11.5 minutes, so there's still plays to be made around plates, and the second dragon is on the Rift. It's a Hex Tech, which Domino going to be starting up. Shaolin moving on down, and of course will help break this one down much, much faster. You need to get those melees on there to make that work with Sejuani. And Domino will be setting up for a Mountain Soul this time around. Both teams on one dragon apiece, so both teams will be able to get that one if they can control the bot lane locale. It's nice this time of year, I hear. Oh, warmer than Berlin.
That's
Tell you
for
that
sure.
for free. It is. I live in the north of England, so I
Yeah.
thought, the climate will be probably pretty
About the
similar.
same. There's
Not
something.
true.
There's
Not
just
the, not the
something.
case.
There's something about the Berlin air. It's crisper.
Well, it's just like, yes, my phone was like, oh yeah, by the way, tonight it might just get to -7. And I was like, why?
Yeah.
Why would it get to -7,
For
phone?
what purpose does it need to be -7 in a city as south as Berlin is geographically? When you compare it to maybe, I mean, I live in London. So I look at London, I look at where Berlin is. Berlin a little bit lower on the map, not by that much.
Yeah, it's not like equator, but also,
But also,
why is it
so much
cold?
colder here?
Just talking about Gulf streams, but Domino needs to be a little bit careful. Nice step charge onto 2 as Chris needs to be careful. Huncut goes low. The ultimate from Jinx goes
Good
wide.
Shaolin.
Shaolin arrives. The red buff actually secured by the Gwen as well, I believe.
Oh.
We'll have to get a little verification on that one, but Valkyrie needs to be careful in the Shroud. The ultimate goes wide from Shaolin, but dives toward and gets the headbutt. Needs to be careful. Valkyrie is gone.
Nope.
Domino pick up one. Chris needs to not die to the Ari. But it looks like everyone from Domino gets out alive, which means, again, not super clean.
Nope.
But Domino get the kill.
Yeah, Domino gained what they were looking for out of Verdant's, I'm not going to say over-eager engage, but it's definitely what it felt like.
Yeah.
As Shaolin picks up the red buff. Decent game, considering the matchup, and of course, definitely a bit of a, I wouldn't say head scratcher, but it's not something we've seen too frequently. Gwen in the mid lane, ripped,
Yeah.
and Shaolin even pranked us for a brief moment, walking into the opposite lanes of designated roles.
I'm excited to ask whoever we've got an interview for Domino. I don't know who it will be as we jump into this replay, but Huncut. This initially looks quite decent for Verdant. The re-engage from Denden is nice, and then members just start showing up. Shaolin, notably, actually, yeah, does pick up the red buff, steals away from Draconium. And then Valkyrie, full health, thinks they can get the assassination down to Chris, but there's CC abundant, even without the ultimate landing from Shaolin. A few auto attacks proc off the E. Curtains.
Yeah. I think crucially, what Valkyrie, hold that
Back
point.
into a fight, Draconium. Chris actually the one in trouble. Will get rooted up, taken down. It's the shutdown going on to Leona, not a target you necessarily want, as Huncut going low, Rip dives forward, looking to get damage down, only finds the Leona, but will dive forward, gets the Huncut, now turning towards Winter as Zirconium is the one caught up in multiple pieces of CC. Shaolin from the back, snip, snip, you are dead. As Domino secure another Draconium, Denden, in fact, the one who's being chased in by Valkyrie. They're not going to be able to follow up on the anchor. Domino lose their first death, but they pick up 3 in response.
Yeah, and get this, Chris was resurrected, so now he's going to
to
the mid lane.
Love that. Love resurrection mechanics. Can't get enough of them.
Oh, and we'll pick up some of this wave, and despite the reset, because of the timings, I think Chris will be able to get mid lane priority, and if Domino want to, after we come out of the replay, you'll see, might actually be able to take control of one side of the map. So what does it start off with? Gravitum, Gale Force Auto, root onto Draconium, and it looks quite risky, and it is. And Chris goes down. Winner unfortunately steals the kill with his ultimate. Definitely wasn't the intention. But look at this. Swing around from Ripped. And the flash forward of Vengerang to execute Houndcart. Absolutely amazing stuff to ensure that that kill was confirmed. Takedown. Winter in the midst of it all. The ultimate as well locks down Draconium. Gives Denden enough time to walk forward. And Shaolin eventually makes it in time with the rotation to secure the final kill. As Valkyrie too late to the party to clean up anything. As looking for Chris. Cleanse available.
Will be burst, which is good for Verdant, because it will make things a little bit easier fighting over this next dragon. 30 seconds in, third dragon of the game, but with both teams having one apiece, the value of it decreases slightly, because it's not setting up for a soul point. It's not setting up for a win condition in some quotation marks. Of course, Mountain Dragon is a huge boon, but it's unlikely to win you the game outright. As Domino deciding what they want to do, control mid lane, moving down towards that objective. Ribbed, of course, hanging around that top side, just staying invisible, because Action's invisibility is certainly an ability that we have in the game at the moment. And
there you go. He's trying to sneak around, potentially find an execution. We get another toggle, yeah, just to
on
make
the
sure
back, though, needs to be careful.
he's
As
going to find Draconium.
Domino needs to be careful about being engaged on. They're going to go for the engage themselves. A Winter driving on through. Hungar is there looking towards Chris. He is deleted. And now Domino in disarray. Sidon gets another auto attack, which will lead to the kill. Valkyrie dancing away. Ericsson doing the same. Shaolin is cutting people to pieces down at the bottom of the river. Ripped at the top, but the front line is gone. It's a 3v2. Verdant lose their third, so it's a 2v2 now. Junglers both dead, which means that Domino feel confident to start the dragon. It looks like Verdant not super interested in getting involved, even though the health bars are pretty even. A bit of a let-off for Domino, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fight on two fronts. Realistically, it's Ripped in invisibility, finds the assassination on the Draconium, and somehow in the midst of it all, Denden also found the depth charge too there. And on the bottom side, it's all about Shaolin. Front line of Domino putting up a very staunch fight against Verdant, and I could see the fight shaping up as soon as Verdant were approaching that dragon. And again, we speak about a lot of this composition. It just kind of wants to dive. What the Jinx do, kind of get left behind. Ripped, taking full advantage of that. And whilst, you know, Verdant, they find the targets that they were looking for inside of the dive, they also lose their own on the back end for it.
Coming up to 20 minutes on the clock. Of course, that's where Baron spawned. Domino looking for another play. Find Winter. Not really the target, but Ericsson is also alongside, which might be a little bit tastier. But Denden needs to be super careful. Goes low, flashed away from the Jinx ultimate. Chris gets taken in the face by it. But of course, was full health, so it doesn't really matter. As Verdant, good response members turning up mid, looking to maybe get the engage down onto the Sejuani. A lot of damage coming on through, and that should be cut inside. And actually managed to get away for a second longer. The reset now as Valkyrie joins the fight. Chris in trouble. The charge comes down, and Hunger secures another. This is the first time that Verdant have, without question, won the engagement. Take down the tower as well. That could be a big shift.
Yeah, it could be a massive shift. In fact, just an overstep from Sidon. And Chris and Winter punishes aptly. Follow-up from Ericsson is great. They execute the Sejuani, and then Chris dies for the sins of his jungler, trying to put down some return damage. Maybe thinking maybe the comms on Domino's end are, we're collapsing on this play. But just really felt like the numbers are never going to quite be there. Ripped, consistently being a bit of a nuisance in this invisibility.
Second too late on that one to stop Hunkard and probably catch him out. Hecarim not the easiest person to catch though, so even if he hadn't have recalled, might not have been able to secure anything of note, except for a bit of wasted time. Let's talk about Baron buff, Jamada.
Okay.
Either of these teams particularly effective at taking it down?
Yeah, I think on the Domino end, you've got two AD carries, you've got Gwen, a lot of true damage, a lot of DPS. Especially once you hit two items. It's going to look quite scary. Draconium on the opposite end, the only real consistent damage dealer for Verdant onto a buff like Baron, so when it comes up, they're going to have him alive. So again, going for this rapid fire cannon build, it's definitely it's something that I see, at least when I watch Div 2 out of all the Jinx players, Draconium always leans on this rapid fire. I think regardless of composition, I'm personally not a fan of it in this game.
Okay. Why?
I think you have enough frontline in the fact of, or enough frontline on the enemy team, a lot of resistances will start to come in that I think LDR is just going to be a little more value. I don't think you need the range of rapid fire cannon. I don't think poke necessarily provides you with too much in this game, because that's normally what you pick up the rapid fire cannon for. It's either You need the range to
engage, but
exist.
Uncut not going to be able to find Chris, finds Den instead. The
Oh,
Nautilus gets the
Draconium.
walk up. Shaolin on the side looking towards Draconium, but will be jumped onto by Winter. Dancing around, Gwen is immune as Chris gets the cleanse out, looking for the damage.
Oh.
Nice ultimate coming in from Sidon as he catches onto Winter. Got sniped out by Ripped as we see Volcro
Valkyrie.
finally get into the fight there. Health bar's low, but where's the execution coming from? Not the ultimate from Jinx as Den takes the shot. Survives on a sliver of health, marches down towards the base as Chris needs to be careful about this poke coming out of Draconium. Very, very close, tense game. The third game that's been close so far today. We've got excellent stuff so far in Division 1. Domino maybe shading it as they move towards the Baron, but Verdant here, they've got Winter, they've got Draconium, Valkyrie coming in from the top lane. They're not going to get this one for free. Side actually half health. It's a 4v3, but Baron is fighting for Verdant right now as the buff will go low. No jungler from Verdant in the vicinity. It's going to be secured by the Sejuani as Domino looking for a route out and should be able to get away scot-free. Again, it feels like a small let-off for Domino, but the headline is Baron on 5.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but I think when you zoom out a little bit there, there's just no ultimates available from Verdant. Nothing that can really be used to disrupt that Baron takedown. Numbers advantage was in their favor, ultimate economy also in their favor. And I think if anyone ever jumps in there, they probably just get minced. Chris had the Moonlight Vigil available with some pretty damn good weapons to fight if any dive did end up coming in. So Domino secure the Baron off the back of those kills, and now let's see what exactly they can get done. The Dragon spawning in less than 60 seconds time. But they have quite a few towers left to take on the map. Just about everyone bar that bottom side tier 1. So a lot of standing gold to build this gold lead with. Verdant, they're going to have to defend sternly to ensure that they don't fall too far behind during the duration of this buff, because right now, if you take a look at the items, they're actually not doing too bad. Despite the 3k gold difference right now, they're actually at parity entirely across the board. There isn't a single major item discrepancy at all. It's one item plus components, or 2 items in case of the mid laners and AD carries. As Domino will pick this dragon up, third dragon of the game, as they've actually found Valkyrie on the wrong side of the map.
Yeah,
Well, this could be dangerous.
Aksham will give a little bit of support, and Valkyrie goes low. Sidon's there with the CC, not even going to be needed. I don't know about that ultimate, buddy, but it's okay. We've all been there, as the kill will be secured by Shaolin nonetheless. And if we want to talk about players who are maybe being slept on a little bit in this league, I think Shaolin's name definitely has to be in that conversation.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Domino's overall, well, they are quite literally 5 and 5, so I can say this free. Their 50-50 nature.
Yeah.
It feels like when Domino doing well, it's because Shaolin is either facilitating or on a carry like this Gwen and doing exceptionally well. And unfortunately, when Domino loses, it feels like Shaolin also loses quite hard. That doesn't mean that Domino are the Shaolin show. It's just a bit of a, let's call it, pattern that you may notice with Domino for a amount of time. But Shaolin very
engage on the
talented.
tower. The tower's now gone though. Winter goes low and it's actually going to be deleted. Gets the shield and survives for a second longer, but Shaolin cuts him down to size. Ericsson dancing away, diving away with the ultimate. Manages to escape. Draconium looking to chase on, but only finds the Sejuani. Not really the priority target to catch on the re-engage, and it looks like Verdant know that back away. Domino going to be resetting with that Baron buff again. It's just a positive play from Domino, picking themselves up an objective and a kill as well.
Yeah, and Domino, despite not necessarily getting, you know, too much in the sense of they only found themselves that one kill onto Winter, take a look at the map. They actually stripped away 3 towers in the course of that play. And one of them was a side lane tier 2. So a lot of gold, like we said. Verdant, they would have to defend sternly to ensure that they didn't fall too far behind. When that statement was made, the gold lead.
Reyes gets the root. The ultimate lands true. Draconium is dead. And that's the power. The power of the War Mother.
I'll give it to you. Anyway, bottom side of the map, Valkyrie and Ericsson, they execute the tower, and it has that objective bounty on it. So they're going to claw back a little bit of gold, but you look at the top side, it's already being traded. You look at the mid lane, priority there for Domino, which means that this rotation up to the tier 2 is going to be oh so easy. And the pressure continues to mount. Domino doing a great job of snowballing their lead here off the back of that Baron. The buff's actually dropped off.
But this tower should still go down because it's only Ericsson here to defend. 2 items on the Ari. Strong champion at the moment, but not able to defend against 4 members of Domino who take what they can, and they just leave. There's no need to overextend. There's no need to try and force anything through. They've got ripped on the bot side, keeping pressure and pulling up a wave, but everything outside the base has been stripped away from Verdant, which is what we say, generally speaking, and I want to get your confirmation this is still true. When you've got your first Baron buff,
Yes.
that's usually the sign of a good Baron buff.
Yeah, exactly. If you, as a team, don't necessarily have a lot of towers on the enemy team taken down, and then you pick up the Baron and you strip away all the towers, very successful Baron. Even if you just do the basic arithmetic, each tower, tier 1, worth about 300 gold, give or take, plus the global. And then the side lane towers, 1.2k. It's a lot of gold swing if you pick those up during the duration of a Baron. And it's exactly what we've seen here. Now, gold lead sits at 6,000 for Domino Verdant. We spoke earlier about there not really being too many major item discrepancies. Starting to pull apart now on the bottom lane, mid lane as well, pretty close to the death cap.
Rip's side? I don't know if that's necessarily the play, but decides to move back regardless. Has gone for the Warmog second.
Yeah.
So it's just a big ball of hit points.
But of course, the Warmogs was changed, and even if it was in its previous iteration, Sid on enough HP now to be rocking that regeneration. Of course, for those who may be familiar with old Warmogs passive, but not new, I believe it's 1.1k bonus HP.
Yes.
Now has to be in inventory, as opposed to the old 3,000 total HP to proc the regeneration. And now Verdant, 30 seconds until this Mountain Dragon spawns up. They have to contest it. If Mountain goes over to Domino, I think the raw stats of that Mountain are just going to be a little bit too oppressive for Verdant to deal with.
Especially with Domino's special brand of frontline.
Yeah.
Of course, Nautilus we see around the block quite a lot, but Shaolin is by no means squishy. And it looks like they're giving up on this dragon.
Oh,
They don't
so
care about
smart.
giving up soul. They want to break
Verdant
open
don't
the
even
face.
know. Verdant are pinging the Baron. They're just going to see them walk up on their base and they're going to be
but then
caught
they're gonna
unawares.
make the recalls. How many are going to be able to get back? They haven't even got back yet.
Amazing call.
Brilliant from Domino. This is exactly what we like to see, because yes, they'll lose out on the opportunity to get themselves this Dragon Soul right now, but it's not like Verdant are picking it up.
Yeah.
And now Domino are looking to move into that bot side jungle. Baron now could even be on their minds.
What a fantastic call. And Domino, the thing is, they could have probably gone to Baron, and I think the same outcome would have been the result. Though maybe that ward would have caught them on the approach. And even actually, when you flick back, I guess Ript has now walked on this ward and given them the information that the Baron's going down, but it's already dead.
The contest is going to come on through. Do they have an opportunity? The ult comes through, but it's a tiny bit too late from Jinx. And Domino's holding the line. The damage coming in is massive. Shaolin picks up the first kill of the fight. Valkyrie on the back is found. Ripped, but it doesn't matter because they've got another ADC as Chris is safe. Shaolin's the one moving forward. Sidon looks to get onto Ericsson. Can't find it. The snap coming out from Aphelios should be enough to take down Ari. It will be enough to take down Ari as the Sejuani rides forward. Taking a lot of damage. Den is on Valkyrie duty, making sure the Ari, the Carly isn't going to be able to get back. Den chooses the wrong door, won't be able to stop anything, and is now a little bit out of position. Recall's coming on through. Chris rips the side on, thinking about moving in to try and get some damage onto this next tower. Teleport coming on through, which will stop the tower from clearing out this minion wave, and the super is here. Hunter needs to be careful moving forward, as Valkyrie can't get the assassination. One more shot won't be enough as Valkyrie goes gone. And Poseidon moves forward and will secure the kill. Should be able to walk away as well. Domino. It looked pretty messy beginning, but the end was clean as all hell. And it will be a victory to take them to 6 and 5. I don't know what happened in comms in the last 2 minutes of that game, but that was a Domino that I don't know if we've ever seen before.
Yeah, no, I honestly, Domino, especially that final call to push up the mid lane, I think it was so creative at the end of the day. Yes, you know, I think they realized that they'd given over the ground to Verdant, but to then just say, hey, we could take it back, or we could just go to get the mid lane inhibitor. I don't think they realized how committed Verdant were to trying to deny that soul, because I think they had enough time to even go to the Baron originally, and in the end, they just get it all anyway. They get the mid lane inhibitor, then they say, okay, now let's go pressure the Baron because there's nothing else on the map. And Verdant, like you say, I'm not sure what's going on in the comps, because not only do you give up the inhibitor, but you're so slow that you don't even make it to the Baron to contest that in time as well. Definitely sloppy stuff to end that from Verdant, but creative call from Domino and very positive outlook from most of that game, if you're to ask me.
Yeah, take themselves to 6 and 5. A positive scoreline for Domino, which it's not something that we've seen too much from them. I think this might be the first time they've had a positive win rate this season. Potentially.
Tough.
We'll have to get the fact checkers on that
Tough
during
call.
the
Tough
break.
call. I think they've been positive a couple of times.
Have they? Well, we'll get Reed on that. He'll do
Get
the
Reed on
analysis
that. Yeah,
during the
Reed will
break.
do it.
But we're going to jump to that. And when we come back, we're going to be talking to both of these teams. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few minutes.